What's up, leaders? What's going on? Welcome to another episode of Lead From Here podcast. I am Jason. Today I am dealing with a cold, so I apologize about the voice. I'm going to try and work through it. Hopefully I can be as clear and as concise as possible and make this a short episode so you guys don't have to hear me drone on in my nasally way. With that, today we're talking about making the call. Sometimes as a leader, you are in a situation where you're going to have to make the call. Whether you have all the information you want to have, or whether people on the team disagree with you, or your peers disagree with you, sometimes you just have to make a call and move forward. Sometimes you're going to get it right, sometimes you're going to get it wrong. Sometimes it's going to be a wild success, sometimes it's going to be a massive failure. The key is understanding when that time has come. There are a lot of people that will just make the call all the time, every time. That's not what I'm saying. You want to bring people in and you want to collaborate as much as possible. And you want to get as much information as possible within a reasonable amount of time. What's a reasonable amount of time, you might ask? Well, it depends. You have to really read the situation and understand, like, what's the urgency of what you're working on? What's the urgency of the company? What's the urgency of the dollars that are connected to it or the pain that's connected to it? And you have to say, this makes sense because, or it doesn't because. And from your perspective as a leader, you have a broader view of what's going on in the business. So you're able to understand, one, what is happening? Where are we at? What is this situation causing or fixing or opportunities it's creating? Whatever those things are, that is how you have to view it as the leader. This sounds super easy, but it's not as simple as it sounds. Like, there is a very delicate balance because you can't make every call all the time. But you also don't want to be the person that is not making the call ever. And people kind of look at that leader and say, that person just can't make the call. That's not a good spot to be as a leader either. So it's important to find the balance. Make sure you're bringing your people in. Make sure you're bringing your peers in. Bring in anybody that is a key stakeholder and get as much information. Get as close to an answer as you can. And if nobody can come up with a decision, that's when it's time to step up and be a leader. It's time for you to step in and say, this is the direction, and if it fails, it's on me. That's what you're there to do as a leader. You're the person that is going to say, this is where we're going because of X, Y, and Z. Understanding the overall business needs, having that broader picture of what's going on in the business allows you to have information that not everybody has. Some of that information you might be able to share, some of it you might not. Like, that's the interesting part about being a leader, is that sometimes as a leader, you're in a situation where you're privy to information that not everybody knows. Sometimes you may find out information about your team or about the department that not all your peers, and certainly not your team, know. So it's important for you to understand that sometimes it's going to feel like you're just making the call kind of blindly without all the information. It seems like, what is this person doing? Why is this person making this decision? It doesn't make any sense with all the information we have. Situations like this is where trust and empathy as a foundation of a healthy team is very important, because if you have that foundation, this is where people will say, they clearly know something I don't know about what's going on with the business or what's going on in the team or within the department or whatever is going on. But I trust that leader to make the right decision for us. Now, that doesn't mean you're always going to get it right. It doesn't mean there won't be people that are like, man, I told you that was the wrong call. Maybe. But that's on you as a leader to take and just own and move forward. Outside of firing people, this is the hardest part about being a leader, because sometimes you got to make the call knowing that there's a good chance you're going to fail, but you got to move forward. You got to take a chance. You got to go for it. Now, the more educated you can be in that call, do it. So how do you make the best call possible? And that's tricky, but ultimately the key is make sure you have as much data as you possibly can within a reasonable amount of time. Make sure that you understand the impact, negatively and positively, if something goes wrong or if you crush it. Make sure, finally, that you know what to do if it goes the wrong way. If you make a call and it goes sideways, understand what we're going to have to do to pivot when that does happen, if that does happen. That is the three keys. When you're making a call, is understand that you're just going to have to go for it. And those are the things that you're going to need to make sure you're aware of. You may not get all the information you want. That's just what it is. I hope this is helpful. Ultimately, as a leader, it's your job to make the call, so go make the call. If you like what you're hearing, please like, follow, subscribe, all those things. We greatly appreciate it. And yeah, take care.